Welcome to the podcast. It's a no for me. I'm your host, Star.
And I'm Josie. Thanks for joining us today.
Baby, it's a no for me. It's a no for me.
Hey, y'all. Welcome back to another episode of It's a No for Me. It's a No for Me. Hey, how y'all doing today? Josie, how you doing today?
I'm good. It's
That's
been a
awesome.
while.
It's been a long time coming.
I just feel like life keeps happening
It's
because
girl.
I have no laptop now. So that's why we haven't been posting on YouTube.
Dang, what happened to your laptop, girl?
It just crashed. It doesn't want to edit, or you can't even open it no more. You just have the little pinwheel, the MacBook pinwheel.
Mm,
It just keeps going in circles. So I have to buy a new one, but a bitch is broke for that right now.
okay, listen. Until then, check us out on Spotify.
Yeah.
We love to hear it. We are still posting there and would love to hear some of your feedback, but we're gonna be up again in no
Yep.
time.
I agree.
Yes. And so for all the listeners on Spotify, don't forget that we are also on YouTube. And check us out there as well.
Yeah. We have a
Yeah.
couple of videos there.
We do. We out here. It's a full production and it's just us two. So, it's not always perfect or, Sony studio productions, but we make it happen.
Yeah.
So what's new with you, Josie? Any updates? How's your art stuff going?
It's coming along actually. Next week we'll have like our third week for the program I'm in for the art supply program. Um, I have to do kind of like a presentation on what I want my project to be. So I'm working on that right now. And yeah, you know me, I
Did
don't
you
like to
decide?
present things,
Right.
but
Well, did you decide what kind of presentation? Because I know you said it doesn't have to be a PowerPoint, but that's probably the first thing I would do. What did
well,
you
yeah,
decide?
I felt like doing that, but it seems like it's more so because we have like a template of questions, and we're just kind of gonna respond to them via the Zoom thing that we do. So
Okay,
we're not gonna do a whole like, oh, share my screen, let me show you my project. So
got you.
I'm just gonna keep it simple, like everybody else will probably. Well, this Friday, the first group of people are gonna go ahead and do theirs. So I signed up for the following class because I want to see what's up before,
Exactly.
you
Let
know.
me peep the scene first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll scope that out and see how they do it, and then I'll, maneuver around that to fit my project. But um at this moment I'm just kind of doing a lot of thinking so I could kind of get together what I do really want to present. Because I
Okay.
mean, I know what I want my project to be, but it's cool to get ideas from others to see if they fit
Hmm.
with yours. But
Absolutely.
everything's been great with that. Actually, I'm kind of excited for it. It kind of sucks because it's only 6 classes basically every 2 weeks. So I just feel like, oh shit, we're already halfway, So
Halfway there.
definitely have to get going on that. But I the information we're gathering from it is helping me develop it. So it's not like I can move faster than what I learned too, I
Yeah.
kind of have to take it baby steps to make it actually work because
Yeah.
I'm not trying to make this shit crash.
Nah, you got it. You got that 100%, girl.
Yeah.
That's exciting. Well, I'm
Yeah,
excited
but
for you.
thank you.
And so, will you have at some point like a projection launch date or something of that nature?
Yeah, so I am going to be doing this like at pop-up shop. So as the time comes where I've kind of finalized a little bit more things, because I had already done a logo, but I got a different idea in mind, so I'm like editing that portion. So till I get my logo and like my real name for it done, then I'll probably be like, all right, here it is, and then start planning my events for it. But
Okay.
I have part of it is basically receiving and giving donations. That's basically
Yeah.
what it is, giving and giving free art supplies and then allowing people to give what they can. So I started off by cleaning out my drawers, and I got a good amount of art supplies that I unfortunately don't use, but
Mhm.
um, I know they could be used for something better for, others. So I have like a bin full of that, which for now, and I also did tell people that I'm taking donations. So
Yeah, I was gonna ask you.
email me if you want to, donate, because I will accept donations. Because what I'm gonna do is when I go to the pop up, usually when I go to the pop up, I sell my stuff, from my business. So what I'm planning on doing is doing that, but also having a table for donation. So it kind of goes to show, like, because this is how I plan on doing this, cycling the investments into the project. So
Right.
whatever, it's kind of like you could purchase something, because I'm not only selling this, because the proceeds are going to go back to this, so they get to see, um you know for themselves how it will continue to work. So shoot, you'll probably pick up one of the art pieces that I create, and then you'll take a piece of art or art supplies too, because then you'll
Right.
be able to do that. So I think
Very
it's like
cool.
a cool win-win situation, because it does, at the end of the day, I'm just doing this because it helped me, so I want others to enjoy art as
Experiences.
well. Yeah.
So awesome. Well, we'll definitely keep you all posted on the progress of this
Yeah.
project. And as she mentioned, if you have any donations, which I do need to clean out my stuff too, and
Yeah.
definitely will be contributing to
Appreciate it.
make it happen.
Yeah. I am here
That's
for it.
awesome. Okay. So news on my end, I will be starting work soon. Very excited about that. Like, girl, how many episodes ago was I supposed to start?
Seriously.
But it's all good. It's working out the way it needs to. What I've been focused on now, though, well, within that time, is my LLC Dope Dichotomy, which I'm very, very proud of. Your girl is about to be a published author.
Yeah.
So I finally finished my journal. It's up for review on Amazon. I will keep you all posted. Essentially, it's a self care journal, a 12-week self care journal that is going to be very soon available for purchase. And yeah, that whole journey has been really, really dope. I actually thought about you when I was making my journals, because
Hmm.
I thought about your full moon art, the kind that you do for every season. And I was like, you know whose art will be dope on the cover of this journal? Rosie's. So yeah, you definitely came to mind, and a lot of people did when helping me create and inspire. And then maybe afterwards I'll show you kind of what the journal looks like, because I am excited. But I did
Yeah.
get some of the proofs, so you're able to, like, get a proof of your book prior to it actually coming out. So
Okay.
that's been something I've been working on. I will have more journals coming up soon, for purchase again, also on Amazon. But yeah, that's been a really cool journey. Yeah, never thought I'd be a published author though. So even if it's just a journal, it still counts.
Yeah. It still counts.
It definitely counts. So yeah, making it do what it do. I've been
That's
doing a lot
good.
of networking as well, and trying to figure out Dope Dichotomy's place in the scene, and narrowing all of those things down. But my landing page will be up soon as well. So got a lot going on and a lot more coming.
Yeah.
So
That's
very
good.
excited. Yeah,
It
thank
seems like it's
you.
coming along. You used your time wisely.
Yeah, yeah, that's definitely what it feels like. I have been, utilizing the fact that I don't have to work for somebody else, and really trying to, not even trying, but really working for myself, and the things that I love. I appreciate journaling, and I wanted to make something that I would use. And so with that came so many other ideas and so much more inspiration.
Yeah.
um from just regular line journals to prompts. My favorite part about my journal though is the coloring pages that I have in it, right? They're
Nice.
like adult coloring pages, so some of them have curse words, but it goes with the whole theme of it all. And I just think it's so cool.
That's
So
good. I'm
yeah.
excited.
Yeah, I am too. Very much so. So yeah, those are pretty much my updates. Yeah, that's where I'm at with it. So
I keep dropping what I have in my hand, and I'm like, all right, let me just put it
let me just set this down.
because I've been side note, I guess you guys we could keep this in. That's fine. But I've been I went to Michael's and I love the clearance section of things.
Oh yes.
So I picked up this air dry clay, which I was like,
Mm.
it was like $1. It says $2, but it was $1. And I was like, what am I gonna do with these? And I have these this mold of basically like chakra meditation stones
Oh
that I
yeah.
use for my art pieces. Well, that one right there, I guess that one.
Yeah.
That one has the stones right there. But I made them with clay, and I realized this clay is like a squishy, like it just feels like a faux.
Ooh.
So like it oh shit, where's the camera? It's just been like cool, like so it just feels like a fidget toy, like a just like
Yeah.
and I put a clear quartz in it, so it literally is like a meditation stone because you could use it during your meditation, depending on like this one's like the third eye chakra. Can't really
Right.
see it, but yeah. So that's what
That's
I like to
right.
hold on to things all the time, like paper clips and shit. So
Yes.
I've been fidgeting with these, and I just feel like because it feels squishy and cool, you know.
Yeah.
But that's what I've
Yeah.
been dropping on the floor. So I just
I
keep
mean, that's
grabbing.
a vibe though. That's a whole situation.
Yeah,
Like I can see that being a thing for people with anxiety,
yeah.
or just who like to have things to fidget with.
Yeah, it's been
Okay, girl.
exciting for me. So
I
they're like
see.
little prototypes to see where I get with
Yeah.
things, you know.
See what? Okay, girl. I love that.
That's where my brain goes because I need to like if to focus, I need to have something.
Yeah, I can
But
dig that.
yeah, so what do you feel like talking about today, Star?
So
In the
uh,
spirit of
in the spirit of Valentine's Day, which is one of my favorite holidays, it's Love Day. I want to dive into just some self love or just love in general. And one of the questions that I always have, or that I encourage people to ask, is what is love to you? Like, what does it mean? And how do you express it? So I'm asking you that.
you're
uh-huh.
asking me first.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, what is love?
She like,
That's
girl.
that's funny because I've never really thought of how you explain love, you know?
I know.
Um, I don't know how to explain it because
All
I
I
always
hear is, what is love?
every
Don't hurt me. That's what's happening in my head right now. No more.
um I just feel like I always say like come with from a place of love, and when I say that I always just mean like be authentic, like don't judge people, like you know, meet people where they're at because everybody's at a different level. So in order to show love, you just kind of have to be there and embrace others as well, you know. I
Mhm.
don't I I feel like the term love is obviously when you think of love it's like you really do care, or you know, yeah, basically care for someone, but I feel like it's beyond that. It's like showing them and treating them the right way, not just because I feel like you know the concept of love could be misconstrued a lot by bullshit things, kind of like, oh, I love you, which is why I do that. It's like
Right.
you know, so I
When
don't
a
know, I
parent
feel like
says,
that
I'll whoop
alone.
you because I love you. It hurts
Yes,
me
I
more
feel
than it hurts you. I'm like, girl,
like why would
I
you
don't
do
know
it in
about
such
that.
ways? Exactly. So I don't know. I just feel like love is more of action than words being said, you
Hmm.
know?
I agree. I would say love is a verb. Or at least it should be a verb. I think
Yeah.
it requires. I would also say that love is a choice.
Okay.
A lot of times it can be difficult to quote unquote love or show love, but I do think it's something you have to actively choose. Very similar to forgiveness. Um yeah, for me love is showing up to a space with compassion, like you said, authentically though. It's showing compassion for yourself. One of my journal prompts, I removed it from my original journal because I struggled with how to even do it. But the prompt was write a love letter to yourself.
Mm.
And I was just like, I'm over here, dear Darla, like I don't know what to do. um,
Dear child.
right. What is a love letter? What does that look like? And then I'm listening to love songs, and what are they expressing? What is the emotion that they're trying to invoke into the atmosphere or in you while singing it? And I realized just how many R&B songs are not singing about love. They're singing about codependency. That's annoying. But again, it's that choice. I think for me, love is free. I learned that love is free. It doesn't hold you captive.
Yeah.
You can express love in all kinds of ways, especially understanding, which we've talked about many, many times here, is our love languages, right? So my love language is not being smacked. I was listening to our last episode and I was not over here. But
Yeah.
there are people who would equate that and say, well, he hits me because he loves me, or they do this because they love me. So very much like you said, it's a verb, but I do find it interesting that it differs for each person you ask. Um, I had a friend who was dating someone and they were like, yeah, it's rocky, but they love me. And I said, have you ever asked them, like, what is love to them? And hearing people's responses. I remember asking that question to my grandmother,
Hmm.
and her response was like, love is when I brock your ass. Like it was very much love is that time I paid for this, and love is that time where you failed that. And it was all about her and the things that she's done. But it made me very clear on what my expectations should be and that it should very much be lowered, because my definition of love is completely different. I'm over here like love is patient, love is kind, love is not, but like all of these things. But asking somebody that question can very easily stump them, very much where you're like, I don't know, I've never had to really explain it. But when
That
you
was me right now.
yeah.
That was me right now. I was like, what?
What is love? For real, because it's one of those things where it varies from person to person. And asking a person, like, oh, they love me, but what is their definition of love? Because you will find that, again, based on backgrounds, based on environments, nurture versus nature, versus all of these different things, people believe love to be different things. Some people have that psycho love, right, where it's like,
Mhm.
I will hunt I will hunt you down. Like they will come for you.
Yeah.
That's not giving love to me. That's giving,
Yeah. That's
again,
crazy.
codependent, or some other kind of mental distress. But I think it's important to have that discussion when you're talking
Yeah.
to both yourself and other people as well. So that's kind of what I think love is.
Okay. Do you think that it should differ depending on like a romantic relationship versus like friendships, or do you think love should just be love
Absolutely.
across the board?
Well, so from my understanding, and I'm grabbing my phone here because it clicked in my mind, but there are different types of love. And they actually have words for them. So
Oh,
let's get into it. I learned this at a young age, and I was very intrigued by it because again, I thought that there was just one kind of love, even though you
yeah,
could feel like I love my mom, but I don't love my mom like I love my partner, and I don't love my partner like I love my sister. They're
true.
different. So for friendships, um, there's the love called philia or philia, and I may pronounce some of these incorrectly because I'm not Greek,
Yeah,
but
you get
they
the gist.
stem. Right, they stem from Greek words. So this is the kind of love that is an affectionate love. It's an affectionate love. And so it has to do with conversing in deep conversation, right?
Okay.
So there's a certain love I have for you because we do this podcast and because we stimulate each other's minds and we can talk about all kinds of different things. um Storage, which is a familiar love, right? That is the kind that reflects on a fond mercy or memory with a friend. So that's the kind
Okay.
of love that you daydream about and you're just like, girl, do you remember when you said it, there's something about that dopamine hit that you love. um I don't even know how to pronounce this one. Philota. Philotia. I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's spelled Philautia. That is self love. I'm like, you want me to show you? Because right over
I'm
here,
like trying to visualize it.
it looks like that one.
Oh, Philothea?
Philotia. So this is a self love, and
Okay.
this one again, helps you to create the friendships that you build, right? Depending on how you love yourself, that is how you attract the people around you. So here, these kinds of love again are very, I don't want to say generic, but they're on a different kind of level, right? Then you have the significant other kind of love. And this love, by definition, we would consider is a little deeper, but not
Okay.
necessarily deeper because it's just a different kind. It's almost like apples and oranges,
I
if you
see.
will.
Yeah.
So for a significant other, I'm not gonna go over the two in the on the side. I'm gonna go over eros, which is romantic love, and that's the love you feel for your partner, your significant other. Right? You set aside time for you and your partner. You love your partner in a different way that you would love a friend. Um, Hopefully, it goes, you are able to be a friend to your partner. And there, it's true, there, if you've seen anybody in a marriage for a long, long time, they go from that passionate, eros, erotic, passionate love, and sometimes they just like, listen, that's the roommate at this point. But they're good friends.
Yeah.
And then you have family love, which is, they say, is the strongest kind of love, and that's agape love, right? So agape love is selfless love. It's the highest love. It's the love they say God has for humanity or the universe. It's also associated with family, right? So that familial love, that you have for your brother, your sister, like I ride for my siblings kind of love.
Hmm.
So I didn't
Okay.
realize that there were different kinds until a couple years ago. And I just found that very interesting because we can be very, focused on one kind of love without realizing that there are so many different categories in which love can fall into.
Yeah, because then you kind of try to, I guess you're like, why do I feel this deeply for this, but I don't feel so much for like, well, I guess a family member would be like the highest point of love, but people do struggle to sometimes love themselves as much as they do love some like a partner, you know? And I
Exactly.
feel like those two usually are like the battles that people have, you know, the self love. I feel like that's one that a lot of people don't practice enough, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, but I feel like it's the most important one because that's how you translate, yourself to others. Like if you don't
Yeah.
love yourself, that cliche saying, if you don't love yourself, how are you gonna love somebody else? Yes, it may be cliche, but it's honest. It's like kind of like they say, like you can't, your self esteem will be low because you won't be able to, accept it from others.
Mhm.
So you just have to be able to kind of like care for yourself. I think you have to care for yourself way more than you care for anybody else in order to care for them at kind of at the same level as you care for yourself. It
Absolutely.
kind of like will translate to equal out, if you love yourself greater.
Yeah.
Uh, but
I agree.
that shit
And
hard.
people can sense when your self-esteem is low. They can sense when you are not in tune with yourself. I went through a period of time where I didn't even realize I my self-esteem was low because I thought I was just, popping like to a certain degree, but then there's this layer of like uncertainty, right? Where thoughts creep in or allowing someone to mistreat me. Clearly, your self esteem was low. Things like that
Yeah.
where I didn't even realize until again doing the work and growing that it's a whole different kind of game out here. And the love that I have for myself today has definitely grown significantly. But people can tell. By one, how you carry yourself, and again by two, how you are allowing people to treat you.
Well, I think that's the that's where it gets kind of scary because if you don't have all, like love for yourself, then you become like this vulnerable person, and people, like you said, are able to see that, and they kind of manipulate you and take the opportunity to do something that they shouldn't because they know that you yourself don't love yourself, so you will accept anything at that point.
Yeah.
Um, that's the point where it gets scary. That's why I usually tell people like you need to start exercising that part because it I mean I know I understand where it stems from. Like it's I mean it all goes back to childhood, but
Deeply
it
rooted.
gets to a point where if you continue to have failed relationships or like shitty relationships just together, you kind of have to get to the point to understand like okay, at the end of the day you're the common denominator and you need to evaluate what is causing you to continue the cycle of the same type of relationships. And
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I think love is a big part of it. And I honestly don't think that we think about it as often as we should. Like, oh, do I love myself? I don't think that's
Right.
something we really question, on a daily basis or whatever.
Yeah.
But we probably should.
We definitely should. I've been listening, sidebar, but also still connected. A podcast. Have you ever heard of the Dissect podcast?
Dissect.
You would love it. So he essentially dissects albums, and I saw your guy Mac Miller on there. I was like, oh, gotta send this.
Miller bitch.
We out here. So he goes bar for bar, dissecting what the point of the album is, what the
Okay.
journey is, what they mean. I'll send that to you. But one of the ones, of course, that intrigued me was Kendrick. I love me some Kendrick. Anybody who knows me knows
Oh yeah.
I love Kendrick Lamar. I love his message and his ability to tell a story. And he broke down the I song, which is I love myself.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and just what that journey looks like and what it means to love yourself, because like we said, the the statement is cliche, and without understanding or even knowing what love is, how do you do that? I've said it before, it used to piss me off when people will say you just need to love yourself. What does that even mean? I just bought me a $400 this, and I just did a this, and you start to try to equate love with materialistic things, or love with
Mhm.
possessions or physicalities, and it has nothing to do with that. How do you love yourself when you are 300 pounds? How do you love yourself
What do you think we equate that to though? Like why do you think we associate that to what we have? Because that in itself could be others esteem. Have you ever heard of others esteem?
No,
I
elaborate,
think
please.
I've mentioned it once because it ties into codependency. Others esteem is just basically you getting your self esteem from external resources. So what
Mhm.
people think about you or what you think they would think about you. So like the clothes you wear, the car you have, how hot your husband is,
Right.
just shit like that, like
Right.
external
External
validation
value.
instead of yourself. So that's what others esteem is, which kind
Gosh.
of made me think of that because I feel like you mentioned, like I just bought myself this. Like,
Yeah.
why do we think it's something should be material when it's like internal work
It's
that we can do?
internal.
Yeah.
And yeah, and that's the point I was alluding to, right? So it's this idea that um because I have a thing or because I have a status, I would say for people in my culture, the reason we look at that material thing as a value, first of all, capitalism.
Yeah.
Second of all, it comes from people never not having shit. Like
Okay.
if I am able today to buy a thing that makes me feel better for a moment, I literally just got off of Amazon and bought a new lunch pail and was like, great. But I had a lunch pail. Why'd I do that? Because now they need to match. Like, what is that? you know?
New job, bro. New job.
New job, who it is? New lunch pail, new workout bag. Like, and that's something I like to do to reset. But to your point, I feel like having certain things and appearing a certain way, again, it's about other people's view on us, right? I mentioned last episode how I used to struggle with my grandmother is very well dressed, dripped in diamonds, and her value is perception, right? So we had to dress a certain way, we had to behave a certain way in order to not crack her perfect picture to the outside world. But then there's me who is wearing red fucking eyebrows. Like I and the need to just express myself the way that I am, the way that I prefer.
Yeah.
Um but I think that people will, have things to validate themselves, right? So if I have the flyest watch, that means I'm doing something. If I have a nice car, that means I'm well off. I appear a certain way to others. You could drive from point A to point B in a bucket and achieve the same thing, but meditate daily and pour into yourself daily and have a higher self-esteem. I think that material things can sometimes, not always, but sometimes be a cover for the low self-esteem that a person is enduring, right? It's some of the most beautiful people do the ugliest things. Shout out to the old Kanye.
Yeah.
um but for the road to riches and diamond rings, and that's legitimately what I think or why I think people do it. I think again it's to cover up things, right? If I can sport $1,000 suit, then you won't see that my attitude is trash. Or even if it is trash, I have the right to behave that way because I'm fill in the blank, this certain esteem. But
Yeah.
I think people just kind of fill in that hole with emptiness, with things that don't really mean anything, that decrease in value, that are kind of low-key liabilities instead of assets.
Yeah. What kind of came to mind right now? Fucking low key sad, but I I um I had to be like in ninth grade because I'm picturing where this happened and where I was walking to. So I was walking to high school, and I always like dressed nice, but in reality it was low key, like you said, a way to cover up that your life was in shambles. Like
Yeah,
we could have damn well been homeless, but I would still dress like if I was okay.
yeah,
And I remember walking. It was my friend Raul. Um, he was like, bro, because he would always fuck with my brother too, like just make jokes and shit. Because we grew up, we grew up
yeah.
together. So he's like, damn, Josie, why the fuck does Jesse always dress like he's fucking homeless? And in my head, I'm just like, oh fuck. And I was just like, the in order to cover up like what was really going on at home, I was just like, he just doesn't care. He just likes to dress like that. Like leave him alone. But it was
Yeah.
more so like we could probably not have shit to
We're
wear, bitch. You
yeah,
know?
we're damn near homeless. That's why.
Yeah.
Leave us
So
alone.
but I mean
Yeah.
it goes to show like we really do kind of go based off what we think others want to see to make it seem like you're okay or like the quote unquote what is normal, you know? So
Agreed.
um yeah, I feel like we just have to we feel like we have to adapt in order to in a way too. I kind of did it to not cause attention to because obviously when people go to school like that on the low, there's social workers and shit that are looking like, wait, why does this kid look like that all the time? Or why does this
Hmm.
kid never look so like he doesn't eat and shit? Those
Yeah.
are things that like ever since I was little would always play a part in my mind. Like we need to make sure we're good so we don't get like CPS called on us or anything.
Yeah.
So as much as I did want to look good because I was obviously a girl in high school and shit, it subconsciously I think I also did it for those reasons to like protect or like keep at bay what was really going on.
Yeah.
But in reality, it's like because I had been thinking about that lately. I was like, damn, before I used to always get fucking a new car. Like I always wanted to have all these like new things that people had. And it's like, why? Um,
Hmm.
kind of like so the other day I saw like that what is it called? That new okay, I don't even have a hydro flask. This is like the one from Costco, which is that other brand. You see how now all of a sudden they have that Stanley cup? It's like all over TikTok, and they're
All
like, "Bro,
over
you're so
TikTok.
basic if you have a Stanley cup now," you know? Because they're like, "Bro, what was wrong with your
What
regular
was wrong
water?
with that?
Like all of a
Right.
sudden because there's something new, you need to have it, you know?" And
Yeah.
it's just one of those like why like why do you feel the need to do what is trending, what is out there, you know?
Yeah.
I get it, you want to be hip and up to date, but what is the the mental part of it that's coming from that? Why would you feel the desire to do that? And I feel
Yeah.
like that in it of itself is not really self-love because you're just doing it for external validation at the end of the day.
Agreed. And not only that, but I think it plays into that idea of keeping up with the Joneses, right? Which is a phrase
Yep.
that we hear. Um, and now there's a whole show about it with the I ain't even gonna say that name, but it's that idea of needing to be in competition or needing to appear again a certain way. And what does that attract? What is the point of that? What is the purpose of having those things?
Yeah.
Is it to fit in a certain social class? Is it to fit in with a certain group of people that you view as valuable or sometimes even superior?
Yeah.
What is it that you're trying to do? And I think that in itself causes it for some people to be very difficult to just be authentic, to
Yeah.
just literally be yourself. um like I said, I went over to my grandmother's house yesterday and she was like, girl, that you have on red. And I'm like, yes. She was like, oh, you new generation kids. And it just made me laugh because if I was to, in my younger days, be in her home and show up to church with these eyebrows or something, I would probably get my ass whooped.
Yeah.
Why? I don't know anybody else with red eyebrows, but here I am. Um, and it's things like that where you're chasing these things. My grandmother would say it to me all the time. Dress like you got some class. Dress like you got
Mhm.
some class. And I mean, no matter what I'm wearing doesn't mean that I'm classless or don't have class or whatever it is. There's this certain idea that you need to have a certain etiquette and you have to be a this and you have to
Yeah.
be a that. And I think people try to conform or again give the impression that they belong
Yeah.
in whatever the group is, because as we noted with the different kinds of love, we are social creatures, and depending on where you're thriving within that realm, that's like you said, that self-love you should focus on, because that's the one that's going to fulfill you. It's not the friendship group, because like I said, I've been praying for new friends, and lo and behold, without me even having to try, I have them. And
Yeah.
so again, I don't have to change nothing about myself in order to achieve that. I don't have to. I used to struggle with that. I felt like people would tell me, "Oh, you talk too white." But then I would go around my hood friends, and I'm like, first of all, like it just never made sense. And trying to figure out, well, how am I supposed to present? How am I supposed to talk? And just saying, fuck it all. I'm gonna just talk the way I talk, whether it comes off as hood or professional, whichever one, you understood what the fuck I said when I said it. And
Yeah.
again, it's trying to fit in those social areas. I noticed when I went to an event over the weekend, everybody had their little cocktails and there was music. So, I'm dancing, I'm doing my thing, but I admired that the person I was with, she was like, you really, like, you never switch up. It doesn't matter the conversation. You're able to still say what you're able to, like, able to say what you want to say in the same tone, in the same way that you would say it if you were in front of the
Mhm.
president. And that's valuable. But I
Yeah.
wasn't always that way. It would be like, ooh, when do I switch? When do I So I just think those learning those traits about yourself is valuable, and learning the love for society or to conform versus the love for yourself versus the love for your family, because a lot of times your family be the ones that lead you astray. So and I think that's another thing. I think sometimes people need to have all of these things because they're running from an aspect of that.
Big time. Yeah.
Yeah,
I feel like you said, it's not till you just say fuck it, like you said, and kind of throw everything out the window that you kind of, were used to. Because I feel like once you just come from that place of love, everything else that follows is because that's what was meant for you to be attracted to. Because I
yeah,
feel like it feels like we're tippy toeing, like, okay, how should I act right now? How should I act this way? And you're not really, I don't feel like that's loving yourself, because you are depleting who you really are to be cool with whoever you are with at the moment.
exactly.
So when you do come from like that authentic, just yourself and just with love, that's when it's like, okay, what doesn't belong there will not be there, and what does will. Because I feel like, I don't know, ever since like I've just been about doing myself and I don't really care who likes it or who doesn't, even like family, I'm like, who fucking cares? Like,
Right.
there was like, because on Saturdays I do my astrology mentorship class, and it was a Saturday. I was just getting done with it, and my mom picked me up because we went to go eat. She was like, because she was like, oh, what time can I pick you up? And I'm like, I said like around after 12, after 11:30 or something. I was like, because I have a class. That's all I said, because I'm like,
Right.
the more brief I keep it, the less I get questions asked. And yeah, I maybe should share more, but I rather not. That's just me.
I feel
Um,
you. Same.
and then she picks me up and she asks, like, "Oh, what kind of class was it?" And I'm like, "Oh,
Here
well,
we
here we
go.
go." So I just said astrología because that's astrology, and she's like, "Astrología para qué? Like for what?"
Why?
Type of shit.
Why?
And I was
Yeah.
just like, "This is why I don't say shit,
This is
bitch.
why I didn't
Like,
want to say
come
nothing. Ooh,
on."
girl, I
So
feel
I just
that.
said, I was like, "Porque sí?" Like, because yes. Like,
Right.
I don't got to give explanation. It's me who takes my time out of my day. I pay my teacher because she's awesome, and it is what it is. You're not paying for it. It's not your time. Shut the fuck up.
Cállate
You
la
know?
boca. Okay,
So,
girl.
um, a part of me is like, I wish you knew more astrology, because then maybe you'd be a better person, or like
Right.
you'd be more like, I guess, open to different things. I feel like they're so like
Narrow minded. Yeah.
fixed into what they've grown into, which, I mean, what can I say? It's kind of like a routine within, the Mexican culture, how things go. Like, okay, you have to do this, this, and this. But I feel like once there's one person that steps out and does something different, you kind of get questioned. And once I've
So
hit that
true.
mentality of saying like, fuck what people think. I'm still gonna do my thing, because at the end of the day, it's making me happy. I don't care if it
Right.
makes you feel a type of way. Oh well. I'm the one that lives with me daily, type of thing. So
Yeah.
once I stopped caring, it's when I was like, it felt more liberating, and just you were able to feel like, oh shit, like I'm doing what I feel good, what I love to do, which at the end of the day makes you feel more loved for yourself, because you're kind of, it's kind of like giving yourself the nutrients you need, because that's what you're attracted to.
Yeah.
So the more I do that, I feel like I'm feeding more love to myself. So I feel like that's a form of self-love for myself, by giving myself what I feel like I want, basically at the end of the day, or
Yeah.
find interest in. Like if there's things, I feel like that's a thing too. Like if you don't, like let's say you randomly think like, oh, that would be interesting. Like my one of my random things this year, I was like, well, I've been thinking this, but this year I've established it. I was like, I want to learn sign language. Okay, then what do? You start learning sign language.
Right.
So by me going out of my way to learn it, I feel like that's rewarding myself with love, because I'm taking care of what I want for myself. And I feel
Mhm.
like that is a form of self-love, you know?
It definitely is.
Yeah.
And but I also think in order to even obtain that or to get there, you have to be in tune with yourself and tap in, right?
Yeah.
When you come from a background of constantly being ignored and learning to ignore yourself, that can be very difficult. And so I
Yeah.
get it. I totally understand why it can be a tough transition, needless to say. I think you and I are both expressing the same thing where, we behaved in a certain way at one time, but now we've grown into authentically loving ourselves. Like I be out here thugging with etiquette, and that's where I'm at. So, and there's something so beautiful about that. And people notice it, people can see
Yeah.
it. What is it? What is the difference of your mom saying, like, ugh, what are you doing astrology for, versus me coming on like, girl, what'd you learn today? Is it another,
Yeah.
like, either way, the need will be met, and you will again not have to change things that you love about yourself in order to push through and in order to grow. And that's
Yeah.
the whole point. The purpose, like the epitome of life, is to grow.
Exactly.
That's and then die.
Yeah. And then
So
reincarnate.
yeah, yeah, and then do it all over again.
Yeah.
Come on, Phoenix.
Do
Yeah,
it all over again to relearn the lessons you didn't learn the first time.
that part. So, it's one of those things where no matter how many times you fall, the idea is that you continue to learn about love. I actually just bought a book by Bell Hooks. It's literally called All About Love.
Mm.
And it just came in the mail today, and I'm excited to read it. From what I understand, or from, like reading the back of it, it's literally essentially a book all about love, from all of the different points that I mentioned, the different kinds of love, and where that fits in our lives and what that looks like. Because, like I said, for every individual, it can differ. It can definitely be different. So, choose self-love first to focus on, and the rest will follow. Some people would argue choose agape love, which is, God's kind of love, where it's just unconditional. But I think in order to even understand that love, you have to know that you are first valued and worthy enough to receive it. Because I think for me, trying to understand the concept of a God loving me more than I love myself, that's accurate, because at the time I didn't love myself at all. So
Yeah.
just trying to grasp that concept was very difficult. And so I think that now that I'm coming into my own self and being who I want to be, I can better understand agape love. I can better understand the philos love and all of the different loves, because I'm in tune with myself.
Exactly. I feel that's why I say, like, I feel like you need to really work on yourself first in order to be able to feel the other kinds of love. Um, but look, exactly what you just said. Love others and allow yourself to be loved.
Period. Is that your bullet journal?
Yeah, for well, that's my spreadsheet
Yeah,
for February.
February. That's cute.
But it at the that's because that's one thing that I do say, like, I am so easy to give love, kind of like that song that Drake says. What did it say? Fuck, I think can't think about it right now. But um, it's so easy for you to give love, but it's you. Why can't you receive? Why don't you allow yourself to receive it? If
Right.
anything, so that's one thing I've been working on for like at least a year. Is like allow yourself to receive love, because I feel like, I mean, it could be literally is from growing up, but it's like you kind of block it off because you it was rough at as a childhood. So it's like, why allow yourself to feel love? But then at the end of the day, we understand that that's not good when it leads to adulthood, because you're blocking off love to things that should accept love from, you know? So yeah, just opening yourself up to
Yeah.
receiving it at the end of the day. Because it's at the end of the day, it's a two-way highway. It's not just something you give. You have to be able to receive it from others.
Agreed.
So, like
Agreed.
when people ask, because before, like even anything, it'd be like, "Oh, do you want this?" I'm like, "No," and it's like, "Bitch, you know damn well you want it. Like,
Girl, you
take
do that
it."
all the time. I'm
Yeah.
like, Josie, come on now, girl.
So, like even with things like that, like I'm working on it, because it's like, no, you're worthy of receiving.
You're
You
deserving.
know,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I think it's
It's in
important.
to that point, again, listening to this podcast, and he was dissecting Kendrick Lamar's Pride. I think it's Pride. And in the beginning, it's love's gonna get you killed, and pride's gonna be the death of you. And one of the things that, like, when it came all the way full circle, I understand why that that closed off reservedness when it comes to love can be very strong. It's because you love has the ability to hurt you. It has the ability to change you and break your heart and break your spirit, but it also has the ability to love and pour in and build you up. And so you think about that person that is forever giving and giving and giving and giving, and people take advantage, and people target that or prey on that, right?
Yep.
Love can quite literally get you killed by being naive or being too open and not understanding the balance. So again, once you become in tune with yourself and once you begin to look inward and really just focus on things that are good for you and not just for the sake of doing them, but what really, brings you joy, things like of that nature, and understanding that you are worthy. But I totally get the closed offness when it comes to love, because as we know on this journey, I have said it many times before, it was to a point where I was terrified to date. I was like, there's no way I'm going out here in this world with these people, but I'm deserving and I'm open. But I
Yeah.
also got tools, right? I have those boundaries, I have those non-negotiables. It took me a long time to get there. And that's just an
Yeah.
outside love. In terms of self-love, listen, love ain't gonna get me killed because I'm strapped, okay,
Yeah.
with my boundaries and with my tools. And
Exactly.
that's all it is. It's about learning those things. So
Yeah. I think that's I was gonna mention that. Like boundaries need to really be in play here, in order for you, not to allow others to overstep their own boundary. But yeah, that's the main key, because I feel like that alone is what keeps you from allowing love to come in.
yeah,
The hurting part. It's like none of us want to feel that shit.
right.
But if you exercise these boundaries, that's your force field against getting hurt. So you can't really have an excuse after that if you really are
Right.
able to practice those things. So
Literally, that's what my therapist said. She was like, okay, but you have the knowledge now. You're not the same person that you were when you were hurt. You're not like, you've learned those lessons, you've overcome those things, and
yeah,
you've had a chance to grow from them. So what really do you fear? And then I had to realize, like, maybe it's I don't trust myself. Like, but why don't you trust yourself when you have the tools now? And
exactly.
it's just getting out of that funk of a mindset. And that's the same for anything, even with the projects I've been working on, realizing like, girl, you have the ability to make something that somebody could utilize, and it could be a benefit to them. Just go for it. Just do
Yeah.
it. If it flops, then so what? I listen, two people gonna buy my journal, and that's enough.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm okay with that. It doesn't have to be this, big success that is, best time seller and author. It doesn't have to be all these things. Again, it should be something that brings you joy.
Yeah.
Um, so I definitely get it, but the objective is to grow. I've grown a lot. We've grown a lot.
Yeah.
Um, and I just gotta say, I have a love for this podcast since we talk about love, and
Yeah.
it has brought me many, many, many blessings and a lot of joy.
Same. I feel like it's definitely helped me grow.
Agreed.
To the
Agreed.
least. Yeah. But
Mhm.
enjoy your Valentine's Day.
Exactly. Happy Love Day to all my lovers out there. And for all my single bays, I want you to take this time to really pour into yourself. Like I said, Valentine's Day is one of my favorite days, despite being single for 3 years. I love it. I have plans to make me some lobster and steak. I'm buying flowers. I'm
Nice.
lighting candles. Okay. All of the things that you would love for another person to do for you, I challenge you to do them for yourself. And
Yeah.
just see how you feel. They used to tease people who bought themselves flowers. I was that person. I was the person who was buying myself flowers. And I always have been, but I was taught that at a very young age. Valentine's Day is not just about having a boyfriend or girlfriend or a partner. It's about love.
Yeah.
So don't
Yeah. At the
forget.
end of the day, it's like in Spanish is Dia del Amor y la Amistad, which means love and friendship. So
Yeah.
it's not just a romantic partner. It could be
Right.
for everybody, I think. So
Agreed.
I think that's something we need to keep in mind too, because a lot of people, like you said, they do get depressed and stuff when it comes to these days. It's like, no, 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 honey, you have people who love you on a daily basis.
On a
Embrace
daily
that.
basis.
Embrace that. I hit the mic. I was like, oh shit.
It's good.
Embrace that, you know?
Yeah, embrace it. I mean, because at the end of the day, there's a song that I used to sing in church all the time, and it's called "Give Me My Flowers." The whole point of the song is give me my flowers while I yet live, so I can see the beauty that they bring while I'm alive.
Yeah.
Give yourself flowers. Give yourself flowers. I walk by flowers all the time and I just smell them, and just know that I deserve them. Buy yourself a candle, girl. Buy that candle you've been thinking about. It doesn't have to be this luxury thing, and it doesn't need to be publicized either. That's the other thing is, we do all these things to compete with other people. Buy yourself something for you.
Exactly.
And even if you don't buy it, spend some time with you. Like, write yourself that love letter. I'm curious to see what y'all come up with.
Yeah.
But that concludes our episode on love. Any last words, Josie?
No, just enjoy your time with yourself first and then share with others.
Share with others. We love to see it. And
Yeah.
happy Love Day, y'all.
Bye.
Peace.
You see us out here healing and we're growing somewhere. Hey, not here. One more time for the folks in the back. Baby,